Bracket racing isn't just what we do, it's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life. Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast with Brandon and Andrew. Andrew, I feel like I've seen a lot of you lately, but it's always nice to see you again on Tuesday nights. How you doing?
Not too bad. I appreciate it. Yeah, I felt like we spent like a week together here in the last week, right?
Yeah, it does feel that way, right? Tonight's episode presented by KD Transmission. Johnny over there, right in Belleville for everybody, all your transmission needs for your normal car, for your race hauler, whatever. Check out KD. Johnny helped us, or continues to help us for a long time. Has helped us with dragster stuff, rear end stuff. We didn't know what we were doing, and then just at the racetrack, an overall great guy. And then not to spoil the points episode that we want to do later on, but Mr. KD might also be the Super Pro champion from Shannonville this year. So great with working on your transmissions, and he's great with driving race cars too. So thanks for KD. That's right. Thanks, KD, for supporting us, supporting the broadcast. We appreciate it. Everybody else that does help out. We'll roll through Canadian Countdown. Andrew, we don't have a whole lot going on, right? The season's kind of starting to slow down a bit, and then results are here and there through it, right? It's tough to find everything, especially when you and I have been, in Tennessee the last, however many days.
Yeah, I would use the conversation that internet was a struggle down there, but in all honesty, it wasn't. I probably had the best signal I've ever had at a U.S. track when I was in Bristol, so that was just me not necessarily keeping up with things there and whatnot. So I'm hoping when we get rolling here in a couple of weeks, I'll have some results from the final RCSS points race. We'll get into the winners from that race in 2 weeks. Grand Bend had their Fall Fast race the weekend that we left, which was the same weekend as RCSS. So back to couldn't find any results while we were in the U.S., but hopefully we see something posted or find it here shortly. And then St. Thomas had wasn't the final points race, but it was their second last bracket race a couple weeks back. So I'd like to try to find and get those results posted up as soon as I can get my hands on them, wherever they are. But we've got some other results from other tracks. So let's check some of those out.
Absolutely. So starting out, we got Shannonville, as we talked about a little bit. This was only a one-day race. Rain did stop the program on Sunday. I was able to get down to Shannonville. This is the first time this year I was there. Didn't bring the race cars, so I was we were ready, loaded up to head down to Bristol. So we were leaving early Sunday morning, so I didn't want to go through all that, But nice to get back.
I thought about the same thing at Cayuga and Grand Bend because they were both running that weekend, and I looked, both are close enough to the border. I'm like, well, we could just make a Saturday race out of this and keep going. Yeah. But I feel like I made an adult decision to just be ready to go versus that.
Yeah, because I had all my stuff was all nice, clean, put away, and then if you looked at the trailer that Saturday or the Sunday morning we left, or when we rolled into Bristol, versus how it's going to look when I roll into Luskville this weekend, not the same, right? Just not the same effort that went into it. But so, needless to say, Shannonville, Super Pro was Nathan Hoskin over Angelo Fiorini. Just do want to point out, Angelo, that is 2 finals in the last 2 events that he was at. So good for him coming out and showing out so far. Pro was Kevin Cardinal over Papa John Chatwood. That'd be a great one. Too bad I did leave or have to go before the final. We had some more stuff we had to pick up, put away, but that would have been awesome to be there for Kevin and Papa John. I know that would have meant a lot to him. Nostalgia, Dwight for Steve. That's a really tough one. And Street was Trevor Connell. Good for Trevor out there. Junior Dragster, Samantha Chatwood over Raiden Steen. And that's how they went through it. So, good for all those racers. That was their final race. I know Chuck did just post November. Let me bring it up here so I know the actual date. I want to say it's November 19th that they are doing a get-together in Belleville at the Dugout Grill, which for anybody who races at Shannonville might not know where the Dugout is, just down the road, just on Highway 2. We've done lots of stuff there. Great local spot. So, yeah, that'll be when their final kind of banquet or get-together is to celebrate one more time. Moving through, head down east for a quick minute. Box class. Well, sorry, jumping ahead of myself. Where are we going, right? Cape Breton Dragway. Final event of the 2022 season with an NHRA Wally Award on Saturday. Box class, Benny Neaston or Conrad Neaston. Same thing. We've heard of Benny a bunch of times, right? And then, as I've said, I'd imagine Conrad is some sort of relation there. Cool final there. No box class, Jason McNeil over David Polson. Bike sled, Glenn Frizzle over Kurt Strong. Junior dragster, JC Posibon over Logan Roach. And then for the final day on Sunday, Dan McLeod won Super Pro class, Benny Neaston once again. Sportsman class, Karen Bellows. Bike sled, Donnie Kosnick. And junior dragster, Gavin Posibon. I've said it before, so now this year I went at West race, right? Went to Alberta. I've been down east before to do that. I'd love to go back, right? Now that I know more names, right? Because there's so many people that were very welcoming and open to me. But, frig, man, I was like 18 when I was out there.
I know, it's a while ago. Miramichi with Big Money Race, wasn't it not?
Yeah, when we won the 10 on the Saturday and got rained out.
Yes.
For the 5, and then we went back the year after too. But and then closing up the countdown, Naperville did have a race there. The only result I do have was the Super Pro event. It was $10,000 to win on the Saturday. The Destroyer, Adam Bitsanis, taking it down once again over Mike Chenier. Mike driving the Corvette. So
was he in the final with the vet?
He was. Yes.
Yeah. He's
final too, right?
Yeah, like that car has been just deadly for him this year.
Man. Yeah. Just racing's been deadly. I was looking at a couple of time slips through it, and I'm like, it's ridiculous.
Well, that is the online tool, doesn't it, Naperville?
Yeah.
That's how you get the time slip. So you can actually go back through and look at all the results. I like that. It's kind of neat,
Yeah. It's good and bad. Depends on how the day you're having, right?
Valid.
So
yeah. If that ticket you'd like to throw in the garbage that no one can see doesn't happen at Naperville.
You can't throw it up, right? Like you just want to crumple that thing up so bad and then never see it again. Nah, it's right there.
No, it's there forever.
Yeah, it's there.
I do have one result in that race. Al Margarito.
Yes, Pro Mod winner.
Yes. Yeah, and I think he won the series as well, getting into some results. A little bit outside of what we normally would talk about with bracket, but that's fine. Al's been a great competitor out this way. And that was a neat, if you looked at results from that too, they had his 8-car field. I think they had 14 or 15.
There was a bunch.
Yeah.
No, there was a bunch. I know that I let me try and see if I can find that the qualifying sheet on there because they were moving.
Yeah, I think the bump was 420. Kevin Wickie, I believe, from out our way in Stratford, bumped into the field. So it was pretty solid for what we've seen in Canada over the last few years, right? And a lot of fast cars. I mean, the top half of the field is only separated by a few hundredths, and then the middle pack even wasn't that far behind. So it was it looked neat from what I was able to gather.
Yeah, Cedric Bellew, 374 was number one qualifier. So like number 1 to 3 was 400ths of a second.
Yeah.
And then, 426 to qualify with that. Like it was a great deal.
Yeah.
Right. They had a lot of cars, 17 entries.
There you go.
In Pro Mod there. So that's awesome. Great to see like a healthy, I don't necessarily want to say a local Pro Mod field.
No.
Right. But that kind of feel to it, right? Like where it was all the local guys that could go race elsewhere. But then, when they raced at home, they still put on a show for everybody.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's always great to see those type of things and to see because there's been a lot of great Pro Mod shows in Canada, at least in Ontario specifically and Quebec. And it's great to see that. It's taken a little bit of a hit over the last few years, just for a lot of reasons, right? But love seeing that Napierville's still putting on those races and getting,
a good decent turnout, right?
Yeah. So that's solid. So, and good job for the Destroyer, the little baby blower on the Dragster is working pretty good. So
yeah, that thing's flying.
It is.
And he's not even like, using it yet. He's only got 3 pounds of boost in there, I think.
Yeah.
He hurt the bottom end, so he was a little nervous to really lay some boost to it. But, he's going 50s with that thing with 3 pounds of boost. And I want to say those can get up to 8 or 9 pounds. Like is the most you're supposed to run with the baby blowers. So
well, we saw our fair share of them down in Bristol when we were down there for a week.
There might have been a couple, right? Yeah. I felt really out of place. Like when we went to Michigan, I felt at home going 5.0s with the spare motor. Not as much there,
No.
Especially up on the hill. So, I got the shirt right here. You can't really see the
whole
whole
you're
thing.
wearing it tonight?
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, I went for it. Because I felt it for talking about the event, jumping into the fall fling. It is, race it, experience it. That's the message I want to send through the whole broadcast right now for everybody who has not had a chance to get to Bristol, just the track in general, right? Whether you Super Pro race and you want to do the big money stuff, right? Say a Fling event, or are there 2 of the big foot brake races that Jed puts on?
Because he does. So yeah, there's the 250, which is Labor Day, and then the World Foot Brake Challenge.
World Foot Brake Challenge.
World Foot Brake Challenge. Yeah, and I think that one's the spring event, right? So
yes.
There's some large bracket races that take place at that place, right? The DER series that runs there is
just the normal local event, right? Like
yes, yeah. So it was well, it is, right? And it's kind of funny because it's one of those tracks that like you don't think about as hosting many events, and then you go look at what it hosts on the schedule, and it's packed all the time. Like drag racing wise, on I mean, the stock car track's busy as well, obviously, but some huge events that go on there. And once you start to put them all in a row, it's crazy, what goes on there all the time, right? From a schedule standpoint. So, so the fling, what an experience that was.
That is putting it lightly. When I was thinking about coming to the fling, when we had first gotten serious about it, Rachel and I was talking to Dale Goche, actually, and Louis Gagne was there as well, because Louis was trying to talk me into go to the million.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, maybe if I went to Bristol and won the 100, then I'd go to the million with him.
Your bank rolled a little bit to go do that, right?
That's right. But Dale was pushing me hard. He said, you got to do Bristol. Yeah. Like you have to do the experience from what it is. And he was absolutely right. Start to finish, we rolled in early, right? We both left Sunday.
Yep.
Met 3/4, 90% of the way there.
Do we figure out the pronunciation? Is it Wytheville?
It's a Wytheville, I think.
Wytheville. I've heard it. I'll be honest. In Bristol, I heard it pronounced 4 different ways depending on what part of the country you came from. Yeah. So I'm really not. Set.
Rachel says Wytheville, so like maybe that's what it is. Either way, we were in Virginia. For anybody that is curious, we met there Sunday night. Rolled in. They had the NASCAR race was on in Bristol on the Saturday night. Right? They did Saturday.
Yeah.
So we weren't supposed to be able to get in until Tuesday. Either way, it didn't matter. Like we said when we were just talking before, I would have left on Friday, or I would have left the week before just to get there. I was wound right up. So we got there. There you go. We got another one with Phil.
Withville, Virginia.
Withville, okay. Virginia. So that works. So we got there and then said, start stacking around noon. So that's when you're supposed to show up.
And we timed that well. I think we rolled in
we were right 12:30. Yep.
I thought top 20, and we rolled into the lineup, and we were the last 4 trailers, because it was you, me, Snakebite Bob, who is slowly becoming infamous amongst the Fling brand.
Yes, he's just infamous everywhere, man.
Yeah, he's
you don't
high
need
energy.
Don't bring it down to just the Fling brand. Snakebite's just infamous everywhere, man.
He's infamous everywhere. So we were the last 4 trailers to squeeze into the holding lot, and there was probably 50, 55.
It had to be, at least.
Yeah.
A lot of rigs loaded up
absolutely.
There. So then they decided they'd let us in early, started parking at 3. Peter, beyond himself, he's out there running up and down the lots in the heat, sweating, doing it, making sure everybody's
92-degree heat, right? Just so we paint pictures here.
Yeah, he's out there working it, making sure everybody's pulling in lanes to the parking lanes properly. And once we start going through, he's standing at the corner, meeting every one of us to greet us into the event, hands us our, what's it called? The racer guide. It's down over there. So a little catalog, I guess, brochure of how the whole event's going to go down, how the rules are, how it works for being called the lanes, this, that, whatever else.
Car designations, they give you a car number at this event. You don't run yours. They give you one for their organization, which was a unique, that's the first year they've done that, right? But
yeah. And so that was the cool thing with it, was talking to him, and that they were so proactive with it, because you and I, we've never been to Bristol. We've never been to a Fling event. We don't know what to expect. I just read through this and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I feel good about this now.
Oh yeah.
You're just comfortable with how the event's going to go down.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Got in there, sorted out, parked. When we talked with Peter on here and talked about the number of staff, they work, man. Every one of them is used for that whole program. It was very well run. For myself, I loved being a part of the race. And how cool
any one time, if you're in the staging lanes, there was 4 staff members in the lanes.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
At any one time, 2 or 3 at the back stacking, 1 at the front pulling them up. Cowboy, I think, was the gentleman's name. I didn't really catch what his actual name was, but the name is appropriate. And I think the only Bristol staff member I recall seeing there might have been the one pulling the cars from under the tower for the dial-ins. I feel like that was a Bristol staff member. Once you hit the burnout box, it was Fling. It looked like Fling staff again in the burnout box, but at least on the starting line, it was Fling staff, right? And
they worked that thing, man. It was clean the whole way. Both my cars now, other than my car does have a few leaks and drips, so then it makes itself dirty, but they're not that dirty for the amount of, my cars are not, at least. I didn't drive Daniels very much, but for the amount of runs, because that burnout box was clean, always taken care of.
Track scraped every night. It was unreal, right?
Now
they were on top of it.
Time of the track being scraped every night, right? That big unit that they have out there, unreal watching this thing just pull it up, a big tractor where it sits the front, the nose down with the blades and just pulls her out. It's not quite the same technology as Derek scraping the track by himself, at Luskville, but it gets the same job done, right?
Absolutely. Economies of scale. These are what these things are, right?
Yes. So,
but an impressive setup, right? Start to finish. And I can't reiterate, the fact it reminded me a little bit of the old Bill Bader days. I'm a little nostalgic about the IHRA days from 04 to call it 08, right? Where you'd see Bill Bader out there shaking hands and greeting everyone, in the lineup driving in, making sure that there's no cut lines. If one line didn't start moving in time, didn't mean the next one. And to watch Peter out there doing all that, by hand. Like that it gave me a momentary flashback of like, this man cares about his product. He's working in the product. He's not in the tower counting rigs, looking at, money going, we're going to make out okay in the AC. Like he's out there working it. And every one of his staff members were too, right? In rotation, I mean, it was a treat to watch them run the race as much as it was to race in the race. And quite frankly, as well as I drove, I got to watch a lot more than I got to drive. So
I hear you,
appreciation to that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So we'll kind of whip through the days of our racing quick enough, right? Like, as you said, there wasn't a whole lot of us going on there, as much as we wanted it to be, right?
Tuesday was a bit of a misnomer. I thought with the way Tuesday's time trial. So Tuesday was testing. They had the dragster shootout, right? So you had to pre-enter in the dragster shootout like 2-3 months ago. So, other than I think you were third alternate, but
I tried my best. I couldn't get in.
That wasn't happening. We got to make 6 time trials, 3 in each one of our entries on the Tuesday. And that, I'll be honest with you, that was the start of the mistake, I think, strategically, right? And we can get into that. Was I looked at it and went, okay, I'm gonna wheel the Mustang and I'm gonna wheel the Corvette, right? In the double entry side of things. Which realistically 3 days later, we both changed our mind on that and we both parked a car to double enter one car, the car we were most comfortable in. So that was my Vet for me and your white dragster for you, right? Mm-hmm. But like Tuesday time trials, dragster race, feeling good, getting into a Wednesday warm up where you get a time trial and all of a sudden there's 500 entries sitting on the property for Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. We had, what was it, 490?
496.
496 on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
For the warm-up race that was 15.
Yes.
But that was my best day of racing.
Yep.
We rolled through. I said this to Ted Barnes after, getting through that round, whatever it was, round 2 or 3, where it's dark there, because for obvious reasons, it did take a long time. But you roll underneath the tower out to the track, right? Because you can't see the track from the staging lanes because it's blocked with the grandstands and the way the mountains all fall. But you kind of come out and then you're under the lights at Bristol and you're just looking, right? I noticed myself in the lanes. I'm looking around, like I'm looking at the tower, I'm looking up and watching down track, and I'm like, it's just unreal to be there and be in that experience. So missed the tree, I think, a little bit round, I want to say I came up like 27, round 3, sharpened up for the next 2 rounds. But I think I lost round 5, close race, had a chance to win. We were there, right? Like that's, I was on the edge of it, of getting on a good roll, right? Round 5, we're right about, well, it was less cars than that. I lost with, how many did they say? 21, 22 cars maybe in that round?
I think that was close to that because I think the next round is when they started talking.
Yeah, they split the next round. Yeah. So we were 1 away, but cool experience on the Wednesday getting that out of the way. That was just, I wanted to highlight that because I did speak to Ted about that later on when he rolled through and you're underneath it in the dark and he came up late and I'm like, man, it's the atmosphere. You're just taken away by what's going on and where you are. So.
Well, and it's easy because I mean it's like I've been to tracks where at night you don't really see much, like there isn't much to take in, but like Bristol under the lights, I mean you're surrounded by this facility, like you're in the middle of it. It's there's tracks I've been to that are similar in that, Norwalk kind of comes to mind because you kind of roll around the corner at Norwalk and all of a sudden you're presented with this, coliseum that envelops you, right? Both left side, right side. I've been to Virginia and it's kind of a, again, roll under the tower type track, but it's a one side track. Like it's a big side on one side. This was something else, right? In itself. And so it does, I could see that. I mean, I raced under the lights too one night, but it was only round 2 because of how many entries there was. But it's still something as you make that turn and head to the water box, right? That's right. Is memorable, right?
It is. we did get a quick question through. For no buybacks, there was a bit of a fear of rain, but that wasn't why. The rain didn't come till Saturday. Still had lots of time to get all the race done. There was 496 entry on Wednesday, roll through to Thursday,
640,
and then roll through like we'll just hit the numbers, right?
Friday,
674 Friday, and then 648 on Saturday's race.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. So busting through, like they were flying, but we had to be 5-6 hours.
Yeah.
Through round one. So then to have a buyback round, bring that around for another one for round two, you weren't starting.
Yeah, like they were finishing races at 12:30, 1 o'clock that were clean races, like with very minimal downtime, starting at 8 a.m. And so I know gloss over a few things, right? Like text messaging. I mean, I'm getting text message calls to the lanes at 7:45 a.m. for Group A. And I guess we'll backtrack for a second for those who maybe missed our conversation with Peter. So they designate numbers at the Flings, and they've got it broken down into 4 groups. There's Group A, B, C, and D. Group A and C are designated for double entries. So if you roll there and you're double entered in basically any facet of it, whether it's 1 car doubled or 2 cars doubled, you're in A and C. B is designated for single entered door cars. So if you roll down with 1 door car with 1 entry, you're in Group B. Group D, single entered dragsters. So Group A, which I can't go to a race where I'm not the first class out. Like just once in my life, I'd like to roll in somewhere and not have to worry about rolling out of bed at 7 a.m. to be class number 1. But here I am. Shouldn't complain. At least I was there racing. But 7:45, text message goes out. Group A to the lanes for 8 o'clock start. And they start at 8, first pair going down the track. And 5.5 hours later, the final group of D cars are in the water box with the wait and see by. He didn't have to roll out of bed till noon.
That's right. That's whenever Jamie Bridge would stop by, because he was in Group D.
Yeah,
he'd come out like we've made all of our runs, right, and we're either we're up here or we're down here, right? Yeah. And he's like, I haven't even taken my car out of the trailer yet.
Yeah, haven't even looked at it. Door's still closed. Haven't warmed it up, and meanwhile, on Thursday, I'm loading everything back up. I'm done for the day. Jamie rolls over and, how you doing, guys? How's it going? Like, pretty awful. How are things with you? Well, I'm getting ready to warm the car up.
Yeah.
I've warmed up, lost twice, and I'm ready to go find the lemonade iced tea stand, which was not open till like Saturday.
It wasn't. It was a long time before they opened that.
Right. But so like the level of organization, right? Like from the moment you drive in the gate to just how they call classes. I mean, and so the big deal was there's 600 plus cars. They couldn't do buybacks. They're running races from 8 a.m. till 1 a.m. without downtime. And when there was, I mean, they were on it fast. There was only a couple, I think, minor on track incidences for oil or liquids, and they'd be all over it. Even what day did we have the rain delay? Friday? I know we had rain on Saturday too, but
yeah, Friday I think was the first time we had a little bit of rain.
Yeah, so they were still 2.5 hours, I think, and we were still done at before 1 a.m.
Before 1, because that's the curfew's 1.
Yeah, there. So like they lost 2 hours and still managed to make it up and go, right? And then I mean Sunday was the big rain, so no, the buyback situation was just simply they had cars, and I don't think anyone. That's the fundamental issue we ran into on Friday was the reality. I went down with buyback money. Like the budget was all the entries that I could enter into and all the buyback money. That's the entry fee to me, right? I don't want to go down and not be able to buy back if that's possible. And when they had the warm-up race and realized they had 500 cars on Wednesday and there was stuff rolling in all Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, they were too late to run. The reality was this is going to be a 600 car race. There's no room for re-entry. There's no room for anything else, right? New entry time trials was the only thing they did on Thursday. I think that still took an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it did for sure.
Reality. So they had to make a format change. And that's realistically where I missed the boat. I should have looked at it and went, I need to park 1 car and double. And the reason I took 2 was I didn't think I could turn the Corvette around in late rounds. that's getting a bit optimistic in my expectations. But you go in with a game plan of let's take two, you know them well.
Yep.
The reality became on Friday for both you and I was we needed to park one car because we needed to get that extra run data. Essentially, first entry is a time trial, just you're hoping you don't burn it with a loss.
Correct.
Because, the air change. I mean, there was a 20. What did we go from? We went from the high of 94 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday
Yes.
to a
Wednesday
high
was
of
hot.
62.
Yeah.
The
And
rest
a
of the
low
week.
of 50. Like, freak me. It was cold. Like, when we made that, was it Thursday or Friday? What day did
I think we had 3 days of cold. So I think
Rachel
it
will
was.
throw me a picture, I'm sure, or the date of when I took the picture. We had the fireplace out in the pits, toques on. That's how we drove the lanes. Friday morning, she says. We drove out there.
Yeah.
For the 100K. We rolled out. And so the fastest my car to that point had been was what I think it was, I want to say 505.
Yeah.
I went 498.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, because of the weather change, because of the massive difference in it. And then, like I said, with no buybacks, no time trials.
Yeah.
And then, your first entry was your time trial.
Yeah.
So that was, like I said, when we both switched and just drove our one car, doubled. That's what you had to use it for, man. Because, like, you don't know what the other one's going to do because you don't have any data there.
No, and you're even more lost, I feel like, with the weather change. Like, I do feel by Saturday, I had a better grasp on the prediction side. Like, I had more confidence, I guess, right? I mean, I still a couple times missed it. I mean, I had that one good run, the first run Saturday morning where I was 2 dead 6 off the trailer, right?
Not
V8
bad.
total. And, backed that up by being like 25 and 1 over 5 hours later or 5.5 hours later, right? But like even that's a thing. I mean, you're making one run if you're doubled and managed to put a couple wins on the board. Let's say like one run every 4.5 hours. It's a very trying. And if you're doing that in 2 cars, depending on how you feel in 2, like you're going to make one run in one car every 6 hours. Unless you're doubled with the one. So I guess the big thing was if I'd had the foresight to look at the entries on Wednesday and look at it and go, okay, there's 500 here today, I probably would have parked the one car. If I thought that there was going to be 600 entries, I wouldn't have even bothered pulling the one other car out of the trailer to make any runs on Tuesday with it because, the format of the race changed and the strategy changed, I feel like, depending on what your strategy is. I mean, a lot of guys like Matt Dattis, he still ran 2 cars over the whole duration of the event, right?
I think there was a fair amount of guys that still did the 2. But those are also the guys that have been to Bristol before. And 2 are more accustomed to that style of racing. There's a lot more track manipulation going on, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they're with your dial in, right? He's not dialed set up just to drive it down there, right? And then as many of them were very aggressive at the finish line.
Yeah.
Which,
like the guys who are habitually carrying 4 or 5 numbers, they were still going to drive 2 different cars.
Because it didn't matter, right?
I mean, the great conversation that was had, I think it was, Ted, I think Barnes was talking to Matt Dattis, and his straight take on it was, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, so I hope I'm getting this right, was like, you don't have to worry about the dial in as much if you're, carrying that many numbers, right? So, you and I are worried about, did you pick up one? Did you lose 2? Like, even if you wanted to carry one, if you missed the mark, now you're carrying 2, or if you missed the mark, you're carrying nothing, but you think you're carrying, right? If you're carrying 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. Just dial the slowest run you feel the car could make. You're carrying 4, 5, 6 numbers. You're going to go down there and drive and kill those 4, 5, or 6 numbers, right? And look to close it up. So, strategically, those guys, I think, still drove 2 cars. Those who weren't, I saw a lot of car numbers go from A's and C's to AC. Same as what you and I did, where now it's all on one vehicle, right?
Yeah. And I love it. Like for the time at the finish line stuff, right? That's something that comes up a lot with these mega races. We're gonna kind of hit that a little bit more with a takeaway of my general overview of how the weekend or week made me feel and how I'm gonna approach it going forward. But like those guys that do it, they've just done more than us.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. It's not at all easier, right? They still have a lot of work to do on the finish line.
Oh, yeah.
But my strategy wasn't set up for that type of race, right? Because I've never raced at a track that's 1,500 feet in elevation.
Yeah,
which that's something that you overlook.
4,300, 4,400 feet on Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And it wasn't even that bad out. Like, just there was no barometer because you are up on a mountain. I mean, it's not Bandamere, it's not Alberta where it's 8,000 feet or something crazy, even in a mediocre day because it's high, but it is much higher and much slower than you really think it's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy in that regard.
Yeah, it's really wild, but it was neat to just be a part of and see everybody else's strategy, and then to be there firsthand and watch what they do. Will it come here and win? Not necessarily, right? Because you don't need to do that, because I know what my car is going to run. The next round. Now, is that easier, harder, whatever? It doesn't matter. But like it's just a total different style. But I love it, right? That's I would love to be back there this weekend coming up and try again, for another event like that. I feel the amount that I learned and took away from this really was massive for how I'm going to carry on racing,
Yep. Yeah. Like there's a lot of takeaways I feel like that are applicable to the next weekend of racing after being down there. Right. That, I can instantly put into the program. And I've done that everywhere I've gone. And when we went to the Million, it was the same thing. Came home. Difference was at the Million, I had to park the cars right after that. There was no more racing to be had.
There's nowhere else to go, right?
No. Whereas at least in the next few weeks, there's at least 3 more weekends of racing, depending on where you are and how far you want to drive in Canada or Ontario, right? Quebec.
Yeah.
But like every race I've been to, whether it was the team race in Memphis with Breton Galen's big race, or it was the Million, anything else, like there was immediate things I picked up and went, that I'm going home with that. And we're going to try that, or we're going to start doing that right now. If I didn't start doing it when I was at the race, and it was, just things you pick up on from watching. It's pretty incredible, right?
Absolutely. So we'll hit some results here now. I'm just going through it. So like we talked about, so Tuesday they did have that dragster race, 32 car shootout, $1,000 entry, no payouts until you're in the final. There's 2 dragster chassis, an American and a race tech. Winner picks which one he wants. Runner up gets the other one. Gets the leftovers. That's
get a roller
how it works
dragster
for that. That one ended up being a powerhouse final round, really. Corey Gleddy took the win over Gary Williams.
And Gleddy wins it in a car he won in a dragster race at another Fling event. So the dragster he's wheeling, he won in a race like this, which I thought was a neat add-on, right?
Absolutely. I'm just trying to whip through and then find Wednesday's results. I know we talked about it earlier. There's so many things going on here. Rachel will probably send me the message right once I do look at it, because there's so many races, right? Like there's so many events. Here we go.
Yep.
Nope, sorry, I'm only on Thursday. I'm getting there. This is another thing to talk about. At the end of each race, there is a full write-up posted that night.
Yep. Of that event. All the winners from each round prize, right? If you go back through, everything's posted there. The pictures are up like every day, right? I was, we were talking to Peter at the race. I was kind of joking about the timeliness of the results, because we were following the Columbus Fling, like the summer Fling, right? Which was only 2 weeks before this one. And, like they're, all the results are posted the next day. And he looked at me and said, next day. So if they're not up in a couple hours, someone's not doing their job. Right.
Yeah,
And I kind of chuckled, but he was dead faced, right? Like he was serious. If this stuff wasn't posted immediately after as fast as he could, they're not doing what they set out to do. And with 1 a.m. finishes, this is all impressive, right?
absolutely. So we did get there. I finally did get there. Blaine Mayer takes the win over JR Lockhart for the 15K warm-up race. Great event. We watched. That was the night. Was that when we hung out with Jamie?
I think so. Yes, that was. Yeah,
Yes.
Wednesday night we were up in the stands watching.
Yes,
from the
we watched from the starting line up there. Jamie and Sheila Tupper and Michigan Mike Illing.
Yeah,
yeah. We got to hang out with them. A lot of fun, right? Cool to see people you don't get to hang out with all the time, right? We don't see Jamie and Sheila a whole lot. I've seen them a few times.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I got a lot going on my screen right now.
Oh, sorry. The Thursday. So Thursday was a highlight day because of the final, right? Like that dragster door car final. Josh Ludke in the dragster taking the win over Kevin Brandon in the Monza, which like 560 Monza, right? Like it's not, I mean, it was a nice car. I looked at it. I don't know if you got a chance to go over and look at it at all. Highlight of my day is Kevin had to go through me to get that win. I think that was that same day. So,
is that the same day that did you roll with Ted that day too?
No. Okay, so maybe it was the next day that Brandon walked through me. Because Ted had a run in with him, and I had a run in with him. I can't remember now. They all kind of got merged together because
there's so much going on.
But it was a great final, right? And like Brandon was rolling in that car. Now it was one of those cars like he doubled the door car. He didn't drive a dragster like you'd seen him at the Million in Vegas, right? That car was doubled, and I think that was the day I started thinking about whether I was doing the right thing driving 2 or driving 1. Because you'd watch Matt Daddis drive around in 2-door cars and then go over to Kevin Brandon's pit and he's just driving the door car. Right. Yeah. And these are 2 very accomplished racers doing 2 different things, won't say drive differently, but like have different strategies evidently. And reality was, I think, maybe I'm doing this wrong, but
that's right.
Anyhow, that was a big win, 30K. That was the first fling day, I guess, at that point too, right? On the Thursday.
Yes, the first official one.
Yes, not just the warm-up race. So that also the day they did the 25 car double O challenge.
Yeah, right? The reaction time challenge. That's when they did it. Yep. Challenge.
Yeah, so that was neat, right? 25 racers randomly picked. I went through that list 3 times, hoping my name was going to jump back out.
I did the exact same thing. Yeah,
nothing.
Exact same thing.
No. Then
Friday was the day that we did decide. Yeah. Both of us, we switched. We were just driving 1 car each. It did work out a little bit better for us. We each turned on. I know we had 4 win lights round 1, and I think I went to round 3. I think
yes,
we were close to getting paid, and then that was when I turned it red in my car. Same thing, right? You're so close. You turn that win light on. We get rolling down. That is, so it's the good and bad with no buybacks, because when you do win, it cuts the field in half so fast.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just flew through
the race. 670 cars, down to the 335 range, right? And then, now you're down below 100 and
you're like 125,
60.
160, and then you cut that down, now you're down to 80.
Yeah.
So it flies through pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was neither one of us that did make the final. That ended up being Ray Miller. Guy's wicked. So
yeah. And he
Ray takes the win.
And that was his first fling wing, I think, too. Which kind of surprised me. I feel like I thought I'd heard about maybe he's been in other finals, and I thought he'd cash the check at the fling, but I mean, evidently that was his first, which was neat to see.
Absolutely. So cool deal for his opponent. So he won over Jack Collier. At all these events, they do on Motor Mania with the whole deal. They bring you up into the winner's circle, winner and runner up, do a little interview with you. So I didn't see Ray Ray's. That I was long in bed by then. I was planning for business the next day, you know. But I did see it the next day. Jack Collier, the runner-up, I believe it was Jack. I'm not sure of who all the guys are, right? Like what the names, the faces. But I believe it was him because it was his winner's circle interview for the runner-up. He proposed to his girlfriend in the winner's circle during the interview, right? So Jared Pennington's right there with the mic on it. And then that was pretty cool that they made that happen when we were looking back through it. So quite a way to finish
too. I think I tapped out as well. I was listening to the finals on the radio in the hauler, trying to prepare for another 7:45 a.m. wake up.
Yeah,
be in the lanes.
Yeah, if we weren't the first, if we weren't both Group A, getting on the track first thing in the morning, then it'd be a little different. But
yeah.
And then Saturday, which if anybody was listening to the live stream, Saturday did turn into Saturday.
Saturday. I couldn't remember that earlier. That's what
you called it. That is, yes. So we got heavy rain, right? I think they said they did 9 pairs Saturday, and then we got rain for 5 hours that we were stopped for. We had a good time, right? We went cruising around for a little bit. Hung out with Jerome and Kevin for a while, met some different people. So
saw Kevin's new car.
Checked it out.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. That was my first time seeing the car in person outside of being going down the track. That is an immaculate piece of work right there.
Absolutely.
A little blower on it, going 440s on the mountain. So
like those Ultratech cars, man, they're so nice. Like really well built. I'm sure a lot, like most brand new cars are like that, but it was cool checking out. So we finally got through it. I did not have any luck. They ran round 1 and 2 Saturday. I did not see a wind light, so we were rolling out before you guys went up for the second round. You and Ted did turn on a wind light round 1.
Yeah, I got
back around
2 entries through. Ted got 1 entry through. That was my hero run day on the first pass. Right, come off and felt good, and then from there couldn't find the tree. The 20. What was I, 30, 31, and 31, right? And the irony is, like, you sit there and listen long enough. I mean, I heard lots of 25 and 30 lights winning rounds, and there were a lot of people struggling to hit the tree. I think because of the different light, like, I mean, you had everything. You had bright days, you had under the light days, you had, if you were in a D group, sometimes you were hitting the tree in the afternoon at 2:00 for round 1, depending on how it went. And, the sun's on the tree way different than it was for me and you at 8:30 in the morning. The box settings, if you move your box around based on light settings, depending on how you are with them, like, you had all sorts of different, times. I mean, I had a box setting that would put me 004 red, and then the same, a couple hours later was, 25, just because of the way the light changed. Right. So it was at that part was back to that. If you've never done it and had to go through it, that's a bit of a struggle. Right. It's almost took me back to like the IHRA days, like the HRA days of, round 1 on this day, round 2 is later that day, 6, 7, 8 hours later. Right. But, if you're out of practice on doing it, it certainly makes it difficult to just show up and go, okay, I'm going to take 10 out of the box right now. Well, you were just 4. Yeah. Well, the sun's different now, and that changes that tree. I'm going to take 10 out. Yeah. But you were just 4. Yeah. It's a difficult thing to get through. Right. And
it was tough. And then, you need to notice the trends as, you find them, and then be honest with yourself and make an educated decision, I guess. So which was tough. But so for that round 2, I was already on the road for. We left the track, we left at 8:30 Saturday night to, 13-hour drive, 13 and a half hours. It did take us on the road. So we pulled out, left. I listened to it from 8:30 until 11:30 when we stopped driving. That was when they shut it down. That's right about when they finished round 2. We're back up. 8:00, I was on the road on Sunday morning to hit it. I had the race on right to completion. Right. Sounded up there just listening to it and hanging out. So it was neat to be able to go through it. That is where the Saturday came from. Listening on the mic, Jared Pennington and Mike Eames in the tower. Jared comes up with whatever it is that you want to call it, while he's on
Shout
the
out to him
mic.
too on the what day was it? Where the national anthem every day. Like, so they run the
Yes.
national anthem before round one every day.
Yeah.
No questions asked, right? Within the lanes for each one of them. And was it the Thursday, Friday? Thursday, because it was the first day he was there, right? It doesn't play. So the man jumps on the mic and sings the national anthem himself, right?
And did well.
And did well to the
yeah.
applause of everyone. Like, I mean, everyone in the lanes, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's
I wish I was in the lanes for that, because it's a different feeling, when you're there, like you get the goosebumps going on for it. So we were in the pits listening to it, and I'm like, man, he is killing this right now. Did an awesome job. So that was really cool.
And add on to that, because that was the first day. So that was the first day of the 30-degree, 40-degree temperature change, right? The hilarious part was, so Jared nails the national anthem, right? Everyone's pumped up. I think a little more pumped up because, I mean, it was a little more special. And there's 12 lanes packed with door cars. Now, they're short lanes. They're not long, but I mean, there's
a lot
70, 80 cars in the lanes, 2 in the burnout box. The second those 2 cars hit the starter switch to move to the box, the staging lanes emptied to go up. It looked like the final round was about to happen because everyone wanted to figure out, how fast is it?
Yeah.
Right. The first 10 pairs looked like the final 10 pairs of some, of the 100K race a couple days later, because there wasn't a soul, unless you had to be in the car suited up, ready to go, that wasn't up there watching to see, where are we at? How fast is this going to be? Because it was the biggest landmine, waiting to come at you, right? It was all of a sudden, now it's 2,400 feet. It's 2,000 feet better than it's been at any point in the rest of the week, right?
Yeah.
And there was some intense scoreboard watching and deciphering of, who nailed the tree, and that 5 over really is, scrubbing 5, not, 5 over on a missed dial in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's cool, man. But so we'll wrap it up quick. Sunday, Matt Daddis takes the win. It also was his first Fling victory.
Another one that's
surprising.
Yep. Put him through a rookie loop.
He took the win over Bart Nelson. So Bart Nelson driving a dragster, you might know whose it was, but that dragster was from here.
Oh,
I'll have to find it. Somebody was here with in our area, because I know they came to Shenandoah once. When we did the 5 granders there. So that car was there. It was not Bart. Bart is from Texas.
Yep.
He was not racing here. But that dragster, I have seen it before. Either way, he was doubled at 11. With 11 cars left, he was rolling through, lost 1 entry, took it to the final. In the other one, I ended up losing to Matt Daddis, but great run for him. It was really fun to watch, really fun to listen to. The whole production of the Fall Fling was excellent, from the Motormania TV broadcast, from everybody that you had in the staff, the announcers, like we said, Jared Pennington, Mike Eames, top notch guys, entertaining all day long. I loved listening to it for the whole thing. Peter would jump on every once in a while. Emily would jump on and do it for a little bit, just
Marco
always exciting to be a part of. That's right. Yeah. So it was cool, right? And they just genuinely loved the whole thing. Brought the information to you. I really enjoyed it. I know we've kind of I didn't think we were going to go this long, but I kind of should have on just talking about the Fling. But if you're listening to this, you've never been to a Fling race, you've never been to Bristol, or any of those larger ones, it is worth the trip from the experience that you will get from, just seeing the track, seeing what it's all about. If you do take a golf cart, make sure you bring fuel, maybe some spare parts for it. Because if you get, run around on a little bit, you're going to wear that poor unit out, climb up the hills.
Yeah, that track looked tight, in the sense of where it is, but I mean, the parking is sprawled out.
It's massive, right? It's unreal how far away everybody is.
Yeah. It's up, whether you're up on the mountain or you're down in the valleys. I mean, we spent a day and a half looking for a couple of our buddies that we knew were there, but just couldn't find them, right?
Yeah.
Because there's just stuff everywhere, right? I mean, there was
Yeah.
cars almost parked over at the speedway, which if you pull the map up, like a Google map of this place, that's a heck of a hike. Like you see guys going to the lanes with gas because it's that far
Yeah.
to drive. Like you're on methanol, you are bringing a gas station with you,
You
right?
gotta be. You gotta.
Yep. Yep.
But
So,
but the overall experience of it, awesome, right?
yep.
And then I've said this to a couple people so far. You and I didn't necessarily get the win lights we were hoping for. I don't think that is representative of necessarily our skill level as racers, but the challenge of racing Bristol, the challenge of racing on the mountain. I didn't find, now they were great opponents. They were great racers there.
Oh yeah.
Guys that like elite level, the best in the business were there.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to line up with them, but majority of my opponents, not, unbeatable, So like everybody
there was a few
has
laps
a
beside me
chance.
that were crazy, right? But at the same time, there was the final round of one of the races. I want to say it was Brandon's race on the, I think it was like 25 to a 33, on the tree, right? And you kind of go like, okay, well, I was 31 earlier in the day. Where was my win light, right?
Yeah, that's
but
right.
There was rounds where there was one there. I think it was John Labuse and Anthony Bertozzi round 2. Like they're trip zip 005 beside each other, like the type of race you would expect to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you'd listen, and because it wasn't the epic race, you'd hear two other gigantic juggernauts go head to head and be 27 to 22.
Yeah.
They're one over. Who knows what they're doing down there, right? But like it wasn't what everyone wasn't 00 every winning round.
That's right. Like
they're
you need to be able to be good, right? Like you need to be able to come up good and have good runs and make good laps, but you don't need to do that 10 runs in a row in order to win a race, right?
No.
You need to pull in the lanes right, have some luck on your side. We talked about that with Corey Galletti when he won the dragster race, right? I think round 2, he went out there, broke a rocker arm at 400 feet, shut the car off. The opponent went down and broke out. And then I want to say he was mid-20s, and his opponent was good, and then just had made a mistake. The guys that are the best at this need luck. We need some luck, but don't let that discourage you from doing this, because it is unreal and really is the pinnacle of our sport for sportsman drag racing, for bracket racing, hands down.
Yeah.
So it was a great time. I'm glad we got to go. I'm glad you talked us into it, Andrew, and that Rachel was so on board for it. We had so much fun.
Absolutely.
I'd love to go back again. Right. All those trips, you have so many great experiences and learn so much about the people you go with, right? And create great bonds with that. So before we, instead of keeping beating the poor thing, we'll talk about a little bit of racing up here. What's going on before we do.
One quick shout out before I miss here. Glenn Williamson, right?
Yes, sir.
Led the late charge for the Canadians on the final couple of days. I think it was round 5 on the 100K.
Round 5.
Yeah. And then
round 5 on
4 rounds in the 30K on the, was it how do you say it again? Saturday, Sunday combo?
Saturday.
So I don't want to see Glenn left out, because he definitely carried the banner for us.
Good call. Absolutely.
On the 2 big races going rounds, making some great laps too, right? I think it was like 10 or 11 total in round 4, right? To swing it back around, to go to round 5. So congrats to him. That was a good showing. Made us look a little better as a general unit,
as a group, right? Yeah, as a group, for sure. Yeah. And he was parked up on the mountain. He was on the other side. He wasn't parked with us. He couldn't get in there, and then he was way up above.
He had the car to go in circles. That thing doesn't get hot. It's the big rad in it. I mean, he was doing laps and didn't care at all. So he was parked in the right spot with what he had. So
that's right. So upcoming races this weekend, coming up, the Ontario Bracket Finals at TMP.
Yep.
If you're on one of those teams, good luck to you. Every time I've went, my team mainly we just didn't show up because I usually only had like 11 or 12 guys on my team. So we didn't have much of a chance, but good luck to everybody there. Andrew, you and I will be back together again this weekend, as well as my boy Travis will be down. The cat is officially out of the bag now that Travis Ringeth is flying in and coming.
Got a ringer coming in from Alberta.
That's right. Him and Dane are in a double the black car together. So they'll have fun together. They'll enjoy each other. For the bracket finals of the Canadian Bracket Super Tour held at Luskville Dragway, anybody interested, 10 grand to win Super Pro Saturday with a 5K shootout.
Two 5K shootouts, dragster shootout, door car shootout on the Saturday night.
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah.
And then 5K again on Sunday, semi-pro, 2,000 win each day. I'm not sure there's a semi-pro shootout. He talked about it. I haven't seen an official list or anything yet.
I have to check that out. I think they were looking for 16 on that one or something.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving events as it comes up. I'll be back in Luskville. St. Thomas has a race. I think
Turkey Nationals, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And then RCSS October 22nd, 23rd is basically the last shot at anything up here. They run a 2-day race out there, non-points. I've gone to it a few years here and there. Always fun. Trick-or-treating on the Saturday night for the kids. Racing Saturday, Sunday for everyone else. So,
which is the same at Thanksgiving at Luskville. Saturday night, we all have the costume contest and stuff like that. So,
I didn't realize that.
Yes, for Thanksgiving, absolutely we do. So
yes.
It's fun. Rachel was Cruella DeVille last year, and I was the dog catchers or dog catcher.
Yes. Okay. I think I remember seeing that picture now of that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. That was fun. We'll have fun coming up. We'll start rolling through. So yeah, give or take a month left for drag racing up here.
Yep.
If anybody else is going south for any big events, let us know. Right, we'd love to follow it and talk about it.
Going back into that season where we're watching and picking up on things down south, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
If you're heading south, let us know. I wouldn't mind letting people know to watch for you on the live streams for whatever event you're heading to, right? So
that's right. No, it'd be fun for sure. So we'll see what happens. But that's it for tonight. Like I said, we hit it. We hit pretty hard on that fall fling. If you listen to this episode and aren't just wound up to go to a fling event next year, then I don't know what to say. Man.
I got nothing left to tell you other than
it is what it is.
Time ever.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's cool. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Great showing, great conversation with everybody through in the chat stuff. So it's been fun, and we'll see you guys. If we don't see you at a racetrack, we'll see you back again in 2 weeks. Is that after Thanksgiving? 2 weeks? Will it be after? Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it'll be after Thanksgiving weekend.
It will be Tuesday after the Monday holiday. Oh, we're gonna be full of stuffing and turkey.
We will be. I'll be jammed right up.
That's a hard one.
That's Rachel's birthday. The Thanksgiving Monday. It's Rachel's getting old. Rachel's turning 25.
Oh, don't say these things about producer Rachel.
I know.
He's the backbone of our operation.
That's right. Well, that's all right. I turned 27 like 2 months after that. So, God.
I have no sympathy from anyone here, and I don't think anyone older than us has either. So you're not getting nothing out of this.
No, I hear you. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for tuning in, keeping up with all of it. Check us all out. Check the podcast on any podcast apps that you do have. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing on here, want to listen to it driving down the road, want to listen to some other ones, check that all out. And we'll see you guys all in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bracket racing isn't just what we do. It's who we are. It's how we identify ourselves.
What does bracket racing mean to me? It's my life. It's where my people are. My idols, my family, my friends.
Bracket racing is life. Bracket life.